Welcome to What People Miss. This is a podcast based on Mozart's quote, "The music is not in the notes, but in the space between them." I believe that the same is true with life. Life happens in the moments that we don't savor. Hi, my name is Cordelia Gaffar, and I'm the host of What People Miss. I call myself the ultimate joy goddess, and I invite you to choose joy and pleasure so that you savor your life. We are in the middle of a series talking about respectability politics. Last week, my guest, Coach Sandy B, was talking about what it looks like in a family setting. And I want to build on that because my takeaway from that conversation was basically we must feel safe in our bodies to show up to our best benefit and be our best selves in relationships with our families. And so in this episode, I'm building on that with the topic of self-nurturing is feeling safe to choose joy and pleasure. So some of the things we're going to talk about today are decentering others, um, rebelling against doing what's accepted and expected. What is self-nurturing? I remember when I first started my business, and my tagline was, "I'm helping mothers to create sustainable practices of self-nurturing." I got so much pushback, but here we are 10 years later, almost 11 years later. There's all these self-love coaches, self-care coaches, but there are no self-nurturing coaches still. I am the only one that talks about self-nurturing. And so my I've now created my own definition, right? Based on my life experiences and my laboratory, right? Working with women over the years. And I've come to the conclusion that self nurturing is feeling safe to choose joy and pleasure. And that is about decentering others. So let us begin this discussion. Why is self nurturing such a naughty word? Because we are taught self deprivation. Basically, we were supposed to give our last breath for everyone except for ourselves. We were supposed to prioritize everyone but ourselves in life, at work, especially in our families if we are the mother. And I'm just wondering, like, how is that actually going to work? Because if you deprive yourself of everything, where are you giving from? And also, because we are taught to give, 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 this is how emotional abuse begins because we're taught that, okay, we're supposed to give. And so you just give a little bit more and a little bit more. And if you're not giving properly, then you go back and um, work on being better at giving. But it never occurs to you to be better at refilling your cup, replenishing yourself so that you can give. And on the note of the 2 points that I've already made about deprivation and giving, 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 this is almost like a trap that we put our minds and our bodies into, where we feel that if we don't give, then we're less than. Now, it's not only affecting our physical health, but our mental health, right? Because um, we believe that there will be a loss of relationship if we don't give enough, if we don't give well enough, or we feel that this is what will make our husband stray. And that is because we're also told the number one desire that we must have as women in life is to desire being a wife, desire a husband, desire children. And also, I've noticed that many women don't they are not happy being wives and they're not happy with children. And it really prevents them from what it is that they truly desire. But then there's I don't know what I want anymore, right? And when you get to the point where you're saying, I don't know what I want anymore, that actually, in a functioning society, would mean, oh, I'm not taking care of me. But we live in a fully dysfunctional society where we must drive ourselves harder, right? So basically, I've said this several times before. Our society is a slave society. We have slave mentality, plantation mentality. We have to work so hard for massa, and massa is our job. Massa is our husband. Massa is whatever the church wants or whatever society, community, whatever it is that you think you need to live this life. Little by little, women are finding out that, oh, you know what? Actually, I don't want to live that life. Some women are finding out that they're queer. Some are finding out that they never meant to or never wanted to be mothers. Some find out that they actually don't want to live in this country. Some find out that actually they don't want to work until they die. And so this is where I invite you to consider experimenting with self nurturing, which is reprogramming your thoughts. Now, we're taught that we usually have 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of those thoughts are negative, and 100% of those thoughts are about you, about yourself. But where did all those negative thoughts come from about yourself? And if you don't believe me, for 2 hours, after you listen to this podcast, I want you to record your thoughts. What are you thinking? What are you saying? And who are you saying it to? And after you realize that most of the negative thoughts you have are negative thoughts about yourself and of what you cannot do and where you cannot go and justifying all that, see if you can't stop yourself and reprogram in the moment and think the polar positive opposite. It's I'm telling you, it's like a mind gymnastics. I This was the process I went through slowly over a period of 10 years to finally sweet talk myself out of my emotionally abusive marriage and sweet talk myself out of my emotionally abusive societal relationships until I I sweet talked myself into making self-nurturing a way of life to the point that what if I chose my pleasure? What would please me in this moment? What would give me joy? What could give me the most joy? You see, instead of complaining, I chose to, and you could experiment with this, to be curious. Hmm, what could give me the most joy in this moment? Instead of, I hate this moment. I hate this thing. I don't want to hate anything. I don't want to hate the time that I have on this planet. I don't want to hate the time I have in my body. I don't want to hate the words that I choose to say. And so I chose to and invite you to reprogram yourself. That's how it works. And when you're doing that, receive, receive, receive. the opposite, right? While you're reprogramming, now don't just say the words. Don't say the polar positive opposite without conviction. Believe it. Receive the words you're saying to yourself. That's how sweet talk works. If you don't receive your own words in your own voice, then you're just saying words. Studies show that the brain doesn't know the difference between the truth and a lie, but the body does. And that's where cognitive dissonance happens, right? I'm a somatic healer, and I invite you back to your body and the sensations in your body so you can say words to yourself, but your body's not receiving it. And this is how you open the door for kindness, self kindness. This whole conversation we're having today is about self. So when you're talking to yourself, be kind to yourself. Say kind things. Be loving to yourself. Make funny jokes and laugh at them. And when you see people laughing at you, laugh with them. Because I bet that was the only laugh that person had today. So many adults don't laugh. Don't be one of those. And finally, choose new desires. Do you desire the things that you are living, or do you desire something else? And if you desire something else, what is it? How could you create that for yourself? How could you create that for yourself? So, my invitation is if you're not feeling safe in your body, it begins with self nurturing. It begins with self kindness. It begins with receiving the words that you have to say to yourself. And this is what I call decentering others. So experiment with decentering others, and slowly, slowly, you will not care about what's accepted and expected, only about what nurtures your heart and your soul. Thank you for being fully present for yourself for this episode of What People Miss. I have an invitation for you to create your vision for the rest of your life, beginning with 2026. On January 10th, I am in collaboration with the Wholeness Center, and together we will be presenting the Visioning Retreat of 2026. So if you'd like more details about that, go to my website, cordeliagaffar.com. And until next week, choose joy and pleasure so that you savor your life. Later.